It's Monday afternoon. Welcome into the Locker Room presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond. I'm your host, Namath Pitts. We have a great show in store for you guys today. We're going to talk Calhoun County Volleyball Tournament that took place this past Saturday at Welborn. We have made it to the championship game. It's tonight at Jacksonville State University. We're going to talk youth football. We've got highlights. We've got stats. We've got an interview with the president and vice president of the Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics. All today on the Locker Room. We've got all local sports. That's the goal. That's the vision behind the Locker Room, is to give the coaches and players of this community the coverage they deserve. I want to do something that no one has ever done in this area, and that is cover everything, not just high school football, youth football, junior high football, basketball, wrestling. Name somebody that's covering wrestling. You can't. Baseball, softball, track and field, cross country, soccer. We want to cover it all right here on the Locker Room every afternoon, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. And hey, don't forget about EAN News. Starting tonight at 6:30 p.m., that's an hour and a half from now, you'll catch me on EAN News local newscast, where we talk local news with Mike Stedham and Katie Edwards. We talk local weather with John Holder, and I will be bringing you the local sports starting tonight on EAN News. That is separate from East Alabama Now, so go follow EAN News. 6:30 p.m. We're live with local news, local weather, and local sports. Don't forget to like and share our page, East Alabama Now, so you don't want to miss the Locker Room each afternoon, 5 p.m. And don't forget that you can also send us highlights of a local game, stats, anything you want, a spotlight of your kid. You can email that to me at eansports23@gmail.com. That's eansports23@gmail.com. Or you can simply just message our East Alabama Now page, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. And again, we want to give you the spotlight you deserve. Calhoun County Volleyball, the tournament took place this past Saturday at Welborn, and we've got a graphic with all the results from this past Saturday out at Welborn. Let's start with the first game of the day. It was the 6th seed Welborn Panthers, Brenda Vinson's team. They defeated Piedmont. The Jacksonville Golden Eagles defeated James Clendenin and the White Plains Wildcats in a 7 versus 10 seeded game. And Jacksonville Christian was victorious over Weaver as the 13th seed moved on to the next round. The Donahoe Falcons then defeated Jacksonville Christian. Faith Christian defeated Weaver, and the Ohatchee Indians were victorious over Welborn. Coach Rebecca Hughes' team, we heard from her last Friday. We heard from Brenda Vincent last Friday. Those are two really good 3A programs getting ready for the area tournament. Then we got into the next round. It was the Alexandria Valley Cubs victorious over Faith Christian. The Oxford Yellow Jackets were victorious over Jacksonville, and Pleasant Valley defeated Donahoe. This is where things take a turn, which was a little bit of a shocker. Pleasant Valley Raiders. The Pleasant Valley Raiders, they were the 4th seed, having one of the best seasons under Coach Dana Bryant. They're currently number 2 in Class 2A. They defeated Donahoe, who was an area rival, and they took down the number 1 seeded Alexandria Valley Cubs. Let's just not even talk about the fact that Whitney Welch's team was the number 1 seed. Let's talk about the fact that they're the number 2 team in all of 5A. And Pleasant Valley came back from 2 sets down, which essentially means they won 3 straight sets to defeat Alexandria, and Coach Dana Bryant in her last season is playing for a Calhoun County Volleyball Championship tonight at Pete Matthews Coliseum. Then it was not just that, but the Oxford Yellow Jackets, who were the number 2 seed, they were the favorite, but they last year didn't make the finals because of Ohatchee. The Yellow Jackets also come back down 2 sets, which means they had to win 3 straight sets, and they knocked off Rebecca Hughes and the Ohatchee Indians. The Oxford Yellow Jackets, Pleasant Valley Raiders tonight, Pete Matthews Coliseum at Jacksonville State. They are going to compete for a Calhoun County Volleyball Championship. So again, that's tonight at 7 p.m. at Pete Matthews Coliseum on the campus of Jacksonville State University. The 4th seeded Pleasant Valley Raiders rallied from behind 2 sets down to upset the Alexandria Valley Cubs. And I must apologize to Whitney Welch. I gave her rat poison. I probably jinxed her because when I went and sat down with her last week, I'll be honest with you, I said, Coach, I'll catch up with you on the court Monday night after the game. And I obviously jinxed the Alexandria Valley Cubs. But how about the Pleasant Valley Raiders? Again, coming back 2 sets down to defeat Alexandria in 5 sets. How about the Oxford Yellow Jackets coming back also down 0-2 to hold off Ohatchee? This Calhoun County Volleyball Tournament took place at Welborn this past week. What's funny is that the fifth and final set was 15-13 for both matches. So both of these games went down to that last set, and it was a 15-13 win for both teams. And Pleasant Valley not only defeated Alexandria, but they avenged 2 losses to the Alexandria Valley Cubs that they had earlier in the season. And they had lost to the Valley Cubs in the 2021 and 2022 county tournament. And so they reached the finals for the first time since making it 3 years in a row, which was 2015 and 2017. Oxford has made the finals for the first time since it moved to Pete Matthews Coliseum, which was back in 2015. And the storyline tonight is Pleasant Valley coach Dana Bryant, who is set to retire after this season, her 25th season for Pleasant Valley. And what a ride it would be for Coach Bryant. Obviously, state championship is the aspirations, but what a ride it would be to go out on top as county champion. So tonight, Pete Matthews Coliseum, 7 p.m. on the campus of Jacksonville State University. Oxford Yellow Jackets, the number 2 seed, against the number 4 seed Pleasant Valley. And when we come back, we're going to talk youth football with Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics. We'll be right back. You're watching The Locker Room presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond.
Ted's Floors and Beyond is excited to introduce our all-new outdoor living collection. Have you ever dreamed of elevating or even creating an outdoor living space, whether it be for grilling, lounging, playing, entertaining, or just winding down? Our quality tile and stone, combined with our expert craftsmanship, will no doubt create unforgettable outdoor moments with family and friends, while also enhancing the beauty and value of your home. Call us today.
For metal buildings in Alabama and the Southeast, Waldrop Manufacturing is your one-stop source. A Waldrop metal building provides the coverage and protection your investments need. They specialize in carports, RV covers, portable buildings, and storage buildings. Stop paying rent for storage. With Waldrop's price per foot, you can actually save money by buying straight from the manufacturer. Waldrop buildings are guaranteed because Waldrop manufactures buildings with U.S. steel right here in Calhoun County. Waldrop Manufacturing, serving the entire Southeast. Give them a call today. For over 60 years, Oxford Lumber has been servicing our area, and our customer service has always been our main focus. Our customer service is what sets us apart from anyone else. From the moment you enter, our highly trained staff will treat you like family.
To enthusiastically provide total customer satisfaction within a positive and self-fulfilling employee relations environment. Visit us at any of our 4 locations or at oxfordlumber.com.
Since 1993, WM Grocery has been a major part of our local community. WM offers the very best in fresh produce and an outstanding meat department. WM also has many local products not found anywhere else and fresh sushi every day. If you need an event catered, come see Mrs. K at any WM store. Curbside pickup is also available for your online grocery orders. Be sure to download the WM app for all the deals of the week and shopper rewards. Go check them out today at any of their locations.
We take pride in our community and appreciate your business.
Ted's Floors and Beyond brings you The Locker Room each and every day. Ted's Floors and Beyond has all your flooring needs, whether it's hardwood, laminate, carpet, tile, or luxury vinyl. They have it for you right there at Ted's. You can go by their showroom there in Anniston and you can pick out what you like, want, and need, and they can do all of it right there at Ted's. Also, they've got a really cool partnership with Welborn Cabinets, and they can offer you a complete kitchen or bath makeover. This includes cabinets, countertops, flooring, backsplashes, and tile showers. They can get it all done right there at Ted's Floors and Beyond. And now, guys, this is really cool right here. They now offer you work on your outdoor space, whether it's an outdoor kitchen, patio, or living space. They have specially made outdoor tiles and stones that can enhance your outdoor experience. So go by and see them today at their showroom in Anniston on Highway 431, right before you get to Sachs Elementary School, or visit them online at shopteds.com. That is shopteds.com. Ted's Floors and Beyond brings you The Locker Room. That's the Jacksonville Golden Eagles senior cheerleaders, and I got to tell you, Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics. We talked about them last week, but it is the premier league when it comes to youth sports in Calhoun, Talladega County, but also it's the premier league in the state of Alabama. I truly believe that. Features schools from all over the area, and we've got some pictures of the Pleasant Valley youth cheerleaders from this past Saturday out at Oxford. Pleasant Valley cheerleaders have a great coordinator, by the way, who has been messaging us wanting to share highlights, and there's a cheer competition coming up in 2 weeks. Look at that. Look at the Little Raiders Youth Cheerleaders. That's awesome right there. So Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics isn't just about football, but it's about cheerleading, dance line, majorettes. They offer it all. And again, it features schools from all over the area. And let's go straight into highlights from this past Saturday out at Golden Eagle Stadium in Jacksonville. And I'm going to run through the scores from this past Saturday. So let's go ahead and go right into them. Let's start with the sophomore division. And Lincoln was defeated by Alexandria 14-7. The Valley Cubs were victorious 14-7. Anniston defeated Montford 19-0. Jacksonville beat Oxford B 33-6. Oxford A routed Pleasant Valley 25-0. The Ohatchee Indians 7-0 over Welborn. Weaver, the Bearcats, 25-0 over White Plains. And the Piedmont Bulldogs were victorious over Sachs 20-0. In the junior division, it was Alexandria defeating Lincoln 12-6. The Anniston Bulldogs, how about the Bulldogs, over Montford 25-0. By the way, if we say 25-0, that essentially means it was a running clock because the score limit was reached. The Jacksonville Golden Eagles were victorious over Oxford B 25-0. Oxford A was victorious over Pleasant Valley 25-0. The Ohatchee Indians were victorious over Welborn. How about this? Ohatchee and Welborn in the junior division. It was a competition between the Screws. You had Dustin Screws for Ohatchee, Jonathan Screws from Welborn. There's a relation there. Ohatchee, the juniors had not given up a touchdown yet this season. That changed this past Saturday. Welborn puts 13 on them, but the Ohatchee Indians remain undefeated as they beat Welborn 26-13. Weaver was victorious over White Plains 25-0, and Sachs was victorious over Piedmont 19-6. Shout out to the Wildcats, my brother Dalton Rozelle, the head coach of the juniors of Sachs. The senior division, you see them right here. Alexandria, the Valley Cubs. Look at the legs on this guy. He's taking this one to the house, baby. The Valley Cubs were victorious 25-0 over Lincoln. How about this? We've got some stats of Alexandria. Number 42, Ashton had 3 rushes for 140 yards, 3 touchdowns. Bentley Presley had 8 rushes for 38 yards. Sawyer Beagle had 4 rushes for 30 yards and a touchdown. Weston Peanut Haynes, 2 interceptions, 3 for 4 on extra point kicks. The Valley Cubs aren't just doing it, guys, with their legs. They're kicking extra points. Name another team in the area that's doing that. There might be one, but this is the first of one I've heard. And there is not an environment like Death Valley. It doesn't matter if it's Friday nights, Saturday mornings, or if it's Tuesday nights for junior high football or Monday nights. Alexandria Valley Cubs, big game. Hey, this weekend's an even bigger game for the Valley Cubs as they face off against Ohatchee, where 2 of the 3 undefeated teams will go head-to-head in the senior division. So Alexandria is sitting at the top of the senior division. Will go head-to-head with Ohatchee, who sits at the top of the small division. And speaking of Ohatchee, they were victorious over Welborn 21-0. Legend Wormy Haynes' team falls to Ohatchee 21-0. The Anniston Bulldogs were victorious over Montford 25-0. The Jacksonville Golden Eagles, this was a thriller. This one went to overtime. It was Jacksonville victorious over Oxford B 20-13. This was a big game. And I got to tell you, the Jacksonville Golden Eagles have a great team as well. I've seen Oxford B play. And again, this was a shootout in overtime. And it was Jacksonville that got the end of the result win as they defeated them 20-13. And shout out to Barrett Edwards, who had a big play that you saw on the highlights earlier. How about White Plains? They were victorious over Weaver, getting their first win of the season, 14-6. And Piedmont, the Bulldogs, routed the Sachs Little League seniors 25-0. So that's the scores from this week for Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics. We've got an interview coming in studio in just a little bit with Chris and Darren, who are the president and vice president of the Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics Association. And we're going to talk about how this came about, the vision, playoffs, cheer competition, and a whole lot more in just a little bit with Darren and Chris of Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics. We showed you guys the Jacksonville Golden Eagles senior cheerleaders. We showed you the Pleasant Valley cheerleaders. I believe we have some Donahoe highlights from Youth Night from this past Friday night of the youth cheerleaders of Donahoe. So Donahoe is one of the only schools that is not a part of the Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics. Obviously, they're a very small school. It's hard for them to put 3 teams together. But Thursday night, was Youth Night for the Donahoe cheerleaders. And so there they are, making sure they also get the coverage they deserve. Great things happening for the Falcons Youth Sports of Donahoe. And so you saw the Donahoe Youth cheerleaders. Let's put them up one more time. We only had a small little nit smit of them, so let's put that up one more time. And again, there's the Donahoe Youth cheerleaders. And look at that crowd right there with the varsity cheerleaders. Great night for the Donahoe Youth cheerleaders. And so they're going to let that keep rolling. And then we are going to go into our division standings for Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics, starting with the small school division. So we now have our Week 5 small school rankings, which is the standings in the sophomore division. Piedmont still undefeated when it comes to the small division. They have one loss on the year, and it's in the against a big division school, Pleasant Valley. How about the Raiders? 3-1 in the small division. 0-1 against the big division. Ohatchee and Weaver sitting there, and at the bottom, Sax and White Plains. And it's been a little bit of a struggle for White Plains and Wellborn as they are both winless. Let's move on to the juniors. Again, how about Dustin Screws and the Ohatchee Indians? They're 5-0 on the season, undefeated. And right now, guys, the only team that's even scored on them is the Wellborn Panthers, who sits at 4th. Could we see a rematch? Could we see Ohatchee and Wellborn in the playoffs? I mean, if I'm Dustin Screws, the only person that's put points on me all year is Jonathan Screws and the Wellborn Panthers. But the Weaver Bearcats, again, Chris is going to be in studio. He's got a son that plays for the seniors in high school, Weaver. Got a son that plays 8th grade at Piedmont, but he's a Bearcat through and through, and they're sitting right there at number 2, 4-1 on the season. Piedmont Bulldogs are at 500 in the small division, 1-0 against big division, and then Sax, my brother's team, 1-2 in the small division, 1-1 against the big division, and then White Plains and the Pleasant Valley Raiders are winless. Senior division, you see the trend here? Ohatchee Indians. They're putting together a great season in youth sports, great season in high school sports. Coach Chris Finley's going to be on the locker room tomorrow, so we're going to talk more with the Indians. But Ohatchee's undefeated. Piedmont, no surprise here. The Bulldogs, you see the trend from high school all the way to Little League. It's dominance. They're undefeated. White Plains, best season so far as their senior division. I need to apologize. I said earlier that they had got their first win of the season. I was wrong. I missed that one, so I apologize to the White Plains community for that. They're actually 2-2 in the small division. I was thinking of Sax for some reason, but White Plains is 500 in the small division, 0-1 against the big division. Weaver sits in 4th place, just barely in the gold bracket right now. Wellborn and Weaver head-to-head. Weaver's got the win to head-to-head on Wellborn, so Wellborn's just outside, and then Pleasant Valley's winless. And Sax Wildcats. Look, I love my guy Scotty Heining. I love my guy Gary Woodard, but the success is a struggle this season. Let's go into the big school rankings. Let's start with the sophomore division. Mommies love Anniston Bulldogs. I don't know that there's a team that's more quicker with their feet than Anniston. The athleticism, mobility. The Bulldogs are undefeated. Jacksonville, how about the Golden Eagles? Also undefeated. They're 4-0, 1-0 against the small division. Oxford A, sitting in 3rd place. They're 2-2. Alexandria in 4th. Oxford B, Lincoln, and then Mumford is winless. Junior division. Jacksonville Golden Eagles. We just showed you highlights from them earlier. They're undefeated. The Anniston Bulldogs, you're going to see Anniston's really good every year. And it's mainly because of what they can do with their feet. They're going to outrun just about anybody. Alexandria is 4-1. Lincoln 3-2. Oxford B, look at this. Oxford B, Oxford A, and Mumford are all winless. So something has got to give. Looks like those teams still have to face each other. So somebody is going to get another win, or get their first win, I should say, in the small division. But Oxford A and Mumford are not winless. They have wins against the small division. The seniors. Alexandria. We showed you highlights. Big game this week against the Ohatchee Indians of the small school division. The Valley Cubs are undefeated. And, well, when you got Weston Peanut Haynes getting 2 interceptions, 3 for 4 with extra point kicks, when you got a guy like Ashton with 3 rushes for 140 yards, I can't do the math off the top of my head because I'm from Wellborn, but I know that's pretty good numbers right there, average-wise. 3 touchdowns. That's a joke. I love my Wellborn community. But Ashton had 3 rushes for 140 yards. Bentley Presley, Sawyer Beagle, Alexandria Valley Cubs. And look at Anniston. They're right there. We're going to talk with Darren. He's an Anniston guy through and through right there. And we talked about the Bulldogs, who are 4-1 in the senior division. Jacksonville Golden Eagles, also really good season, 3-1 in the big division, 1-0 against the small division. Then Oxford A and Oxford B. And then Mumford sits down towards the bottom. Their only win of the season is against Sax. And then Lincoln is 1-4. I don't know what the apostrophe S means, but we'll get that figured out by next week. But Lincoln is sitting at the bottom of the standings. So that's the standings for the small division and the big division in Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics. We gave you highlights, cheerleaders, football. We've got a whole lot more with Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics. When we come back, we're going to talk in studio with Chris and Daryl, who are the president and vice president of Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics. We'll be right back. You're watching The Locker Room, presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond.
Ted's Floors and Beyond is excited to introduce our all-new outdoor living collection. Have you ever dreamed of elevating or even creating an outdoor living space, whether it be for grilling, lounging, playing, entertaining, or just winding down, our quality tile and stone, combined with our expert craftsmanship, will no doubt create unforgettable outdoor moments with family and friends, while also enhancing the beauty and value of your home. Call us today.
Welcome to Room by Room Home Furnishings, a locally owned and operated furniture store located in Oxford, Alabama. We've been serving Northeast Alabama and the surrounding area since 2007. We offer stylish and affordable new arrivals and all the top trends to help you get a cozy and homey atmosphere with hand-picked home furnishings and decor to fit anybody's style and budget with knowledge, personality, and good vibes. Let Room by Room in Oxford, Alabama help you score amazing deals and turn your house into a home.
Wait! This isn't a game. It's your basement. It's filling with water. And even worse, it's 2 a.m. Who are you gonna call? Time's up. We'll come out 24/7, 365, any day, any time to put out any fires. Well, not actual fire. There's a better number for that. But when it comes to plumbing, call One Tom Plumbing.
Welcome back into the Locker Room, presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond. We can't wait. We have two guests in studio with us right now. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourself?
Chris Martorello, president of Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics.
And I'm Darren Sproul, the Vice President of Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics.
So as you guys saw last week, we introduced to you Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics. It is one of the premier leagues when it comes to youth football right here in Calhoun County, even outside of Calhoun County in Talladega County, but also in the state of Alabama. Now, I used to play youth football, and back when I played, Coosa Valley football was one of the biggest leagues. It featured teams from everywhere, and now it seems Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics is doing just that. And guys, over the past couple of years, I had noticed a separation among teams in our area where they weren't really, some of them were playing kind of up in a Hoax Bluff area, other teams were playing in other areas, but you guys have combined pretty much essentially almost every team, if not every team in the area, into Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics. So just talk about Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics and the teams involved.
Well, honestly, that was the thing that we had seen years before. The previous organization had established that, where that's what they were looking to do, is that we saw the need that there were kids that were driving by other places to not play, to play another team in another area. And it's like, well, let's bring it home. Let's bring it back to here. And so we met, we started it up, had some rough patches earlier on. COVID hurt us. Chris and I said, hey, we got to make sure this thing's going. This is a wonderful thing for the community. It's a wonderful thing for the kids to have. So we stuck through it and just kept going, and more people saw our vision, more people saw what we were trying to do, and have jumped on, and have been wonderful to help out, and it's just grown tremendously.
So with you guys being the president and the vice president, what do you guys exactly do? What is your role, other than obviously it seems like you guys kind of founded this thing up, but what is your role on just a week-to-week basis in making sure things happen every Saturday?
I guess the biggest thing I know from my part and Darren here, he can tell you a little bit later, he runs a lot of different things. So I get to focus mainly on this, and so we get together, we make sure that we do the scheduling, we make sure they have somewhere to play Saturday, we get the officials, make sure they're lined up, and we run the cheer competition, jamboree, playoff, championship. Outside of that, we're just the bad guys that have to enforce rules.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the rules. What are the rules? What are the requirements for each school, whether it's kids playing in district, out of district? What's the requirements in terms of who can be a running back, who can be a lineman? What are the basic rules of Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics?
We do have weight limits for each age group. If you are under the weight limit to carry the ball, of course it's different in each age group, then of course you're allowed to carry the ball. If you're over a certain weight, you have a sticker on your helmet, and that means that you are not allowed to carry the ball. And the sticker with an X means you have to have your hand in the dirt. We made that rule because in previous leagues, that if there was a weight limit, that if you were a certain weight, you were not allowed to play. We didn't think that was fair. We were wanting to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to play, and so we've done that, but with safety in mind that, hey, these guys may not need to be carrying the ball, kind of stuff.
Yeah. So what do you do when you get let's just say a certain school that says, hey, we feel like there's a player on the other team that is not of the right age, or we know we got schools that like to try to do that, unfortunately, which is sad. But you got teams that like to play players that are too old or whatnot. How do you go about in actually investigating things like that to make sure every player is eligible on each team?
Well, I will say, just to start off, Chris, is that Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics is a governing body. Each club, each organization is responsible for their own set of rules for how they run their organization and things along those lines. We have a guideline for ours, and Chris will go on more on that one, but we are just basically a governing body for everything that they had to run themselves. But he can explain that.
Yeah, so after all that, basically what we have is to contest a play or something. At the beginning, we do a weigh-in, and that's at the jamboree. The point of that is we video it to make sure that each kid is on video to see their weight. So we weigh them, write it down, say it out loud. We got their face and number in the video. So then we've implemented a fee now. So if something happens and they believe the player is not legal, then they can video at the end of the game. They can call them at the end and say, hey, we want to contest this player. They get out there, they take a picture with the player with his helmet off so we can get face number. They have a certain amount of hours to turn it into us. Once they turn it into us, we go right back to the video. It's usually the easiest thing. We go back to the video, look, make sure it's the same kid. Then it's easy. We look at the weight and say, okay, the kid was underweight or not, or is it even the same kid? So we've had instances in the past where it's not the same kid. Most time the older one, we've only had one of those instances. It happened to be this year. For whatever reason, so our rules are, people get it confused between age and grade and things because it's written in their grade as like a guideline. But basically, we got 5 through 7-year-olds on one, 8 and 9 on one, and 10 through 12 on another. Okay.
Yeah, that's no, you're good. That's an interesting way to do it, and that shows you technology in today's society, that you have the ability to record a weigh-in, come back later on and check the actual weigh-in and say, hey, is this the same kid? And vice versa. Let's talk about the schools, because you feature pretty much every school I can think of in this area. So how did you go about in getting these schools to say, hey, I see the vision behind what you guys want to do, and to actually join that and be a part of it?
It wasn't an easy process. It wasn't extremely difficult because, as you had mentioned before, the clubs had been in other organizations and had been in other programs, and I think they just saw the quality that we could offer, and they saw the how close everything was, and one of the other things that I know we'll talk about here in a little bit is we were focusing on the cheerleaders. We wanted to make sure that the cheerleaders had their parents come to the games to watch them too. Let's make sure that they have an event, a good thing to do. So as I said, we'll talk about the cheerleading and everything.
All right, well, let's talk about the cheerleaders, because after we launched Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics on the Locker Room last week, I think a lot of people were kind of like, whoa, somebody's actually talking about us. Somebody's actually covering us. And we had someone reach out to us and said, hey, what about the cheerleaders? Let's not just talk about the football players. We got girls that are out there each week just like them. But you guys are doing something really cool in 2 weeks. Not this weekend, but next weekend. And it's going to be at Welborn, and it's a cheer competition. So what is this cheer competition? Is it going to feature all the local cheerleaders? Tell us a bit more about the cheerleaders and the cheer competition.
Again, like I said, with this cheerleading, we were looking to do an event for everyone, so that the cheerleaders were not just at the games, that they would have an event that they could go to. So we have cheers for all the age groups, and we have a dance line. I'm not sure if we were looking at doing the majorettes, because that's a new thing that we're not doing it this year. But that was a new thing that had just come in. So you can see the continued growth. You can see the things that we're looking to add on and do. But basically, they just do a little competition, big schools, small schools kind of thing. And Chris will explain that a little bit more here shortly, but really just a good event. And it's a day set aside for the cheerleaders where their parents can come out and watch them perform and watch them compete, and the kids love it. It's a wonderful time.
All right, Chris, tell us a little bit more.
So basically, we do have a big school and a small school. The big school currently right now is only 2 schools that are doing it. So this is kind of a new year. We're building the whole process, kind of starting over. We've had them in the past, but maybe about 4 participate. This year we've got a new cheer coordinator, Melissa McCreelis, and so she's going to be heading that up and has been already. And so a lot of the schools are kind of I don't want to say scared, or they don't know what to expect yet because they've never seen one with cheer in this area. And everything's like chee-haw, tumbling, stuff like that, more competitive. So we're trying to offer every cheerleader, dance, and majorette, if they have it, we want them to have an opportunity just like football has their opportunity. So right now we do have 2. I think Oxford and Alexander is going to participate, and then we have various ones of the small schools that are going to participate against each other. And they may not have all 3 age groups, so it may be sophomores, juniors, seniors, or just sophomores in that group.
And the cheer competition is going to be in the greatest community in the state of Alabama. That's Wellborn, baby. I'm a Panther. I'm a little biased right there. But how did it come about being at Wellborn?
So basically, there's some regulations, like you got to be able to have the parking, have 2 gyms, so they can practice before they get a little warm-up time, and then that you need enough to hold. Right now we got 23 teams going to compete, and the 3 dance are going to be a showcase. And again, we don't even have everybody doing it this year. It's not mandatory right now. We're looking at everybody doing it next year, but that's a lot of teams, of course. And so location and being able to hold that many people, Wellborn's a good school. We had it there 2 years ago. They did a fantastic job. The cheerleading high school varsity coach, she did amazing. So it came down to like 2 of them, I believe. And then so when we had to, a lot of times we draw it just like we would with football. And so Wellborn just happened to get it this time, but I'm actually glad because they do a good job with it. So
he scared me for a minute. He started talking about 2 gyms, and I'm like, hold on, I can't be at 2 gyms at one time with my camera. But guys, we're basically at the midpoint of the season. We're getting kind of towards the end of the season. Playoffs are starting to approach. So let's talk about the format for the playoffs. How does that work? Is it just 4 strict teams? Is it kind of like baseball where you got the gold division, bronze division, so everybody gets an opportunity to play in somewhat of a playoff? How are the playoffs working?
That's going to be something new this year. So in the past, we have taken like top 4 out of 7 because we've had COVID year. We had 11 teams, but only 5 done it. Then we went to 9, and then 9 again, I believe, and then or maybe it was 8 to 9. And then this year, of course, we got 13 leagues, but 14 teams because Oxford has 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to try something new where we have a gold and so you got big school, small school. Then you're going to have a gold and a silver division. So that first week of playoffs, you'll have 3 locations. 1 will play 4, 2 will play 3 at the gold big school. Then there'll be a location for a silver gold small school. They'll do the same format. Then on the silver side, gold or big and small will both play at the same location. 5 will get a bye, 6 and 7 will play. So that way, come championship time, we'll have 2 locations: a gold location and a silver location. Winners playing each other, and of course 5 playing the winner of 6 and 7 for both big and small school.
All right, let's talk about the championship games because you got some really good teams. Obviously, I look at the Alexandria seniors that are facing off against Ohatchee. That's the really number 1 big school, number 1 small school right now in the senior division. Are facing off this week, and I've seen Ohatchee seniors. They look really good. And then, let's just talk about the championship games. You get to the playoffs. Are all the championship games going to be at one location, or is it going to be split up? How's that going to work?
It will be 2 different locations. Your gold will be at 1 location, and silver will be at 1.
He just said that. I just totally forgot about the gold and silver divisions. It lost my mind. Well, Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics does something that many do, very few do, and that is have all teams essentially in one area coming together every Saturday at a different location to compete in cheerleaders. It's not just about the football players. You heard cheerleaders, dance line, majorettes. So there's something that is being featured in all aspects for every kid in the senior division, junior division, and sophomore division. And so just shout out to Darren and Chris for what you guys do to make this happen for youth sports. And if you're listening to this and you've got a son or daughter that cheers or plays for one of our local teams in Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics, then hey, we would love to feature them every single week right here on the Locker Room presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond. You can email us highlights, pictures, anything at eansports23@gmail.com, or you can again reach out to us right here on Facebook, send us a message, send us highlights, again pictures, anything it is, and we would love to spotlight them for the coverage they deserve. That's the goal right here on the Locker Room, is all local. Guys, thank you so much for joining me this morning in studio.
Thank you.
And that is going to do it for today on the Locker Room presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond. We'll be back tomorrow with highlights from the Calhoun County Volleyball Championship game, and we're going to talk Calhoun County Quarterback Club. We'll see you tomorrow on the Locker Room.